And we're live. Welcome to the Gored Pub.
As far as I can tell, we are.
We are. Oops. Don't worry, he'll wash that.
I'm pretty sure that's probably not going to happen.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's not either.
But I'm pretty sure that it doesn't really matter because that I use that as kind of a pry bar because for some reason, probably diabetes, my nails are weak, so I can't just pop it open. Sometimes it ruins my nails. So I use it as a pry bar, but I also use it as a spatial measure. Why I made sure the eyes are the same distance from the nose.
Isn't that just a metal straw?
It is a metal straw.
All right, good.
But it serves more than one purpose.
Oh, yeah, I get that.
No, I mean, like, I got it specifically for those purposes.
Well, that's fine. I thought it would be a good idea to tell people that what you can do with a metal straw.
It doesn't matter. Yeah, it doesn't matter what straight edge it is. It could be a shish kebab stick or whatever, so long as it's a straight edge and you can take measurements with it. And the only reason that I need a separate straight edge is because when I start drawing with a pencil and using the straight edge, then it's easier than trying to use my pencil and then lay it out where I measured it.
Actually, I'm just thinking now that if you need a third hand to hold the bar, the straight edge, a metal straw would work really well because you can literally thread string through it and use a pegboard and just have it sit there.
For what?
Well, let's say you wanted to let's say you're drawing eyes. You want to make sure they stay level or whatever.
So if they stay level, that's one thing. But so I will take this to a reference and get the angle of the cheek so that when I pull it over to this drawing, I'll make sure that that's the same angle. So I use it for spatial measurements from the middle of the nose to the edge of the eyeball. Same thing it over, right?
Yeah.
But I'll also, use it for the edge of the lip, to the jaw to make sure that's syncing up. And yes, sometimes it's about where that is level, but this part, I'm using it for angles and spatial measurements. It won't be static because I'm measuring against the reference.
Yeah.
I'm darkening up this green with blue, ultramarine blue, but I don't want it to be too dark or too blue. I just don't want it to be that swampy green. Suppose I could pull out yellow and do that too, but I think it's just easier to darken, tone it a little bit here.
About 30 minutes before we streamed, had myself a nice little sneezing bout. Oh, may be on mute a lot tonight as I sneeze, or hold my nose and Just all kinds of grossness. It's about that color.
About what color?
That green right there.
Which green?
That you're painting right now.
This green?
No.
That green? Because that's green and brown and blue green.
No, the green that's below the bigger splotch, the one that you just made.
Yeah, I just pulled that green out here.
Well, okay, it's looking lighter on my screen than it was from the, because it's a thinner glob. The white comes through. Ugh. I think if you want a cheap drinking game, every time I sneeze, take a shot. You'll be done before we are. Ugh.
I'm going to try to keep that moist so that I can keep it around for later to touch it up. I don't know how that's going to work. Mainly tonight, what my concern is because of what I'm doing, because of the story that I'm trying to finish, is to try to get. I'm working on her face mostly tonight.
Cool.
So I've got ultramarine blue, green, green gold, burnt umber, light. I didn't realize there was a light and dark when I started that. And this is dioxazine purple because we want to make a violet.
Because everyone knows what dioxazine, whatever it is.
Purple?
Yeah, but the
dioxazine purple. Well, that's what, if you want to buy it, that's what you're going to find.
That's fine. I'm just saying as a marketing thing. I know purple. I have no idea what color dioxazine is.
Dioxazine isn't a color, it's a mineral probably. Just like cobalt blue is. Cobalt's not a color. Blue is the color cobalt is.
But I know what cobalt looks like. Dioxazine, I can't say that I've ever come across.
Dioxazine?
Yeah, whatever. Dioxazine. You know what? I'm just going to Google it because it's not interesting. Dioxazine. Well, it's definitely purple. It's Windsor violet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Violet is the color I'm looking for.
Yeah. It's a nice color.
Violet? Ow.
Dioxazine purple.
You okay?
Yeah, I just a lot of sneezing. It's one of those things where my nose just burns. That's why I know I'll be sneezing a lot because it'll just get to be too much. Ah.
Usually the rule of thumb is the light drops off as you go down on the piece. And apparently, this one wants to be really bright on the chin. Not super worried about it. This is also why I wasn't overly worried about all how smooth it was or any of that.
Yeah.
Each layer, right? He sounds like he's a big badass, but he's not. No, sounds so well.
Yeah, I think my sugar got me sick. Or my students, one of the two. I love wearing earbuds and having my sinuses drain so I can hear it gurgling around the rubber part. It's lovely. In case you needed some audio nightmares for you. No, I was thinking about 𝕻𝖎𝖎𝖎𝖓 the other day, the show, the one you didn't watch, if I remember correctly. And
I don't watch much of Star Wars. I've tried, but I feel like I've been ripped off a few times.
well, yeah, I started noticing how little enthusiasm I have for any project they announce. But so I was trying to think about why I like 𝕻𝖎𝖎𝖎𝖓. Like, what is it about that one that seems to work and continue? Well, there's only one season, so they haven't had time to mess it up. There's that. You know, like Mandalorian was great the first season, and then it started to become the Bo-Katan story, not the Mandalorian story. So I'm a little hesitant about caring about that one. But 𝕻𝖎𝖎𝖎𝖓 has some of the more interesting characters that I still think about. And I think that might be why I like it better. Like, and it's not the guy that was in Rogue One. It's not his character that I really care about. There was another character who he's played by who does play him? Because you'll know the actor, I'm sure. Yes, Stellan Skarsgård.
Okay.
Plays Luthen Rail.
I like Stellan Skarsgård.
Yeah,
I actually like him a lot more than they've ever really used him or given him credit for. I loved in the river.
There's two scenes out of Andor that I always think about. One, and they both have him in it. One of them is he escapes an Imperial ship, basically. And the way he does it is genius. I loved it. I question a little bit about some of his weapons, but overall, it was cool. And the other scene that I loved, he has a mole inside the Empire, and the mole wants to quit, and he gives this speech about everything he's given up, and I swear it's like, and it makes perfect sense for this, and this is why I love it so much, but I swear he sounds like a Sith, but he's fighting for the rebellion, but he talks about how he has to use the weapons of his enemies. He talks about how he's given up everything and all this stuff, and he can never be redeemed and all this kind of stuff. And to me, it sounds a lot like a Sith Lord like a rival Sith Lord. And there could have been rivals. I know there's a rule of two, but there were other Sith factions before that, so
yeah, I think that's crap too. Like they kind of screwed that up in the prequels.
Yeah,
because Darth Maul, Darth Vader.
Well, Darth Maul was around before Darth Vader.
Darth Sidious. Well, they said there's only two: Darth Maul, Darth Vader, Darth Sidious, Darth Vader, Darth. The hell is Count Dooku was a Darth as well, right?
Yeah, but if you watch,
they all exist in the same space.
Well, no, Darth Vader isn't around until after Dooku's dead, and Darth Maul is no longer.
What about that?
He 100%. It's the third film. He cuts off Dooku's head. Anakin does, and that's before he turns completely to the dark side. And Darth Maul is considered gone at that point.
But he's not.
Yeah, but he's been forsaken by Sidious at that point. And so it kind of works, but at the same time...
it doesn't work on the fact that there's supposed to be two. That's all.
Well, that's...
the whole...
So there's Sidious.
Because there's more there. And
well,
then,
there's Sidious and Darth Maul. Darth Maul gets cast aside, defeated, whatever. So then there's Sidious and Dooku. And when Dooku gets killed, it's Sidious and Darth Vader. And so while Dooku was around, he was a Jedi. He gets turned. And same with Anakin. He gets turned. So while, they're alive, their lives overlap, their status as a Darth doesn't really overlap. But it still doesn't make a lot of sense. I get the logic behind the policy. As in, if everyone's fighting each other, you'll never accomplish anything. So, okay. But the idea that anyone would actually listen to that reasoning and follow it with such fidelity is kind of silly. So, because Darth Bane came up with that, because he saw it as the Sith kept killing each other. That's why the Sith could never win. So, therefore, limit the number of Sith. The Sith couldn't win. All right. That works to a certain point until another Sith comes along and says, well, cool, but it's got to be my two, not your two. And, but whatever. I mean, in the end, though, just the idea of a villain being jealous of another villain's success And that's what kind of helps start your rebellion. It's just a fun little way of playing around with things. And why not? Why can't the Sith be pissed at Sidious? Especially if Sidious killed Darth Plagueis the Wise. Well, that might piss people off that, feel like that they got cut off from a source of information. And if Sidious had apprentices kind of waiting in the wings, then why wouldn't Plagueis have more than just the, you have your apprentice, sure, but you also have like your backup, because that's what 𝕻𝖎𝖎 Ventress was. 𝕻𝖎𝖎 Ventress was supposed to be the apprentice to Count Dooku, who was the apprentice of Sidious, which right there kind of breaks your rule of two. But they get around that by saying 𝕻𝖎𝖎 wasn't a full Sith.
Yeah, they get around that. Well, an apprentice is supposed to be only two, one and an apprentice. So
yeah, I agree. It doesn't.
That apprentice isn't a full Sith, so that's crap. You don't really get around it, but who cares? Because they're gonna do what they want anyway.
That's true. I saw a meme today about.
It's only gonna hurt your feelings.
I saw a meme celebrating your favorite author, saying that.
You mean the 𝕻𝖎𝖎𝖎𝖓𝖌 dedication?
No, this was how George R.R. Martin has said that he has written all the ants in the next book.
He's written all the what?
Ants. A-N-D-S. Ants.
Oh.
Plural of and.
Okay. 𝕻𝖎𝖎𝖎𝖓𝖌 just finished the 6th book of his fantasy series.
Yeah.
And the dedication is, literally the dedication page is to George R.R. Martin. See, it's not that hard.
Oh, some of that sour grapes, but it's funny.
I don't think it's sour grapes at all. I think it's just a needle at George Martin, who's telling the fans that he doesn't have to write anything more.
That's true, he doesn't.
No, technically he doesn't have to write anything more, but I don't have to buy anything ever again from him because he basically sold me stuff on the promise that he was going to finish the fucking story. So, yeah. He doesn't have to, but he's an oath breaker.
As long as you're not bitter about it, though.
I'm not bitter. I'm just not buying his shit.
Yeah.
That ain't got nothing to do with bitter. That's just, common sense. I don't want to spend money on shit that I'm never going to read the end of.
I agree.
I got too many things that I'm reading that have ends that I haven't gotten to the end of to start reading someone that's not going to bother finishing.
Right.
A fucking major epic story, like he's been writing it for 20 years and now he's not going to end it. It's just a cash cow at that point, and it's kind of ridiculous. If that's what he wants, you're right. He's got the right to do that, but it's a cost.
Well, one of the problems that he's probably fallen on, I would guess, this is pure conjecture, 100%. But I would think that if I were in his place, I would be paralyzed because there's no way you can write an ending that's going to satisfy all of the fans. And
well, see, the problem is that he shouldn't be worried about trying to please all the fans. If he wouldn't have that concern if he didn't sell the story to HBO before it was fucking finished.
Well, I'd sell anything to HBO for the amount of money I pay. I would do the exact same thing.
I wouldn't try to sell it until it was finished.
Well, let me tell you, if I had books out and they wanted to buy, I would sell. I would.
I don't think that's the way it went. George Martin, he wrote a long time ago, and then he stopped, and he wrote for Beauty and the Beast with Ron Perlman.
Oh yeah.
And he was in Hollywood writing that stuff. So he had Hollywood connections. So
Yeah.
I don't think they came looking for his book. I think he went selling his book to them. And the problem with that is that he knew it wasn't done. He knew that there was a fan base that wanted to see it done. So he screwed over the fans on purpose for money. And that's okay. That's okay. But now we know that's who he is.
Well, except for, again, I guess I have a little bit of sympathy.
He still hasn't finished it, and he started another prequel, right?
Okay, I get that. But, again, I just...
unreliable narrator.
Okay. But I would assume that if you're selling to HBO... I doubt you're doing it on your own. You probably have agents at that, but I would. I don't think I would, or at least a lawyer, but I would assume one.
He already had connections, so that's.
I get that, but you hired out the contract.
That's a different story than you or me going to hunt down Hollywood, or even Frank Miller or whatever. Like it's not the same. It's not the same situation. I guess that's what I'm trying to say is that when you have connections in Hollywood, you've already screenwritten, and you have your part of the Screenwriters Guild and everything else. It's a little bit easier for them to sell it. And then I'm sure he goes, well, yeah, I've got 5 books that are international bestsellers or whatever, and that's definitely going to nail it, but I think that the reason that he was able to sell it before it was finished is because he had the connections. Because what other author do you know of that could sell the whole entire series based on a premise ending that they give them instead of like knowing the ending of the story? There's no other authors that have done that. None. And it's not a bitter thing. I'm just saying, like, strategically, yeah. I mean, if you want to make money, and that's the whole point, right? That's one thing. And, yeah, we're in it to make money if we can, but story is king. As far as I know, I didn't get into writing to write part of a story. If I,
but
somebody
I'm still saying that he's a pantser, and because he's a pantser, he. Again, I mean, I don't think you're making it sound like he almost set out to screw people over, and I don't think that's the case.
I think he didn't give a shit about his fans.
Well, that could be, but he didn't set out to do something. And
he's made it clear he doesn't give a shit about his fans.
Well,
so it's not a question of that maybe, or you make it sound like no, that's what he did. I didn't say he set out to fuck anybody over. He didn't fuck anybody over. But what he did was not fulfill the promise that he started. How many times did he say, well, I'm going to finish this, this is going to be this is going to be a 5-book series. Then it was, I can't do it in 5 books, so I'm going to do it in 7 books. And then it was, the next one's due out pretty soon. And then it was, I don't have to finish.
Yeah, that sounds to me like he's reacting to pressure.
Yeah, that's why he wrote The House of the Dragon, which is all prequels. That's a money thing. That's all based on prequels. It's all based on the mythology that he already sold. I don't know. I wouldn't. Like, I can't honestly say that I wouldn't take money, but I wouldn't want to not have that ending there, I like to write. I write because I like to write. Pressure be damned. I wouldn't be like, oh, we didn't like the ending here. Well, sorry. I've liked a lot of books and I loved the books until I got to the end. I'm like, oh, really? But that happened.
I get that.
I'm not saying it's invalid to feel pressure either. But how long has it been since his last book?
I have no idea.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. Take a look. Just for the fact of seeing when his last Song of Ice and Fire book was. Because I know 2 years ago he was still promising to get out the next book and didn't. So
I'm looking up the application.
Huh?
I'm looking at the application. It's just, for some reason, stupid. There. God, just thank you. It's like the last thing on the page is the bibliography. Bastards. Well, Rise of the Dragon was a reference book.
was a what?
A reference book.
Yeah, because that's not actually the end of the story.
2022. Fire and Blood was 2018.
And that's not a novel. Either that or it's a prequel.
Yeah, it's a novella. It's the last. I don't know if it's 2015 or not.
Is it like a Dance with Dragons or something like that?
Well, it's a Knight of the Seven Kingdoms, which says collection /
Yeah, that's not the novel.
The last novel, according to Wikipedia, was 2011. Dance with Dragons.
That sounds more accurate.
Well, there was a map collection, a quote collection, novellas, a novelette.
Yeah. So when a band doesn't have new material to put out, but they have to put out by a certain date, they do collections of their old stuff, or one new song mingled in a whole bunch of ones. That's exactly what he did. That's commercial. That's not actually the novel. So the novel, I think the last one was the Dance with Dragons, right? Because then it was like Winter is Coming or something like that is the next one, but it never got finished.
Right.
Like, this is not to make fun of him or whatever. It's to point out that he's still making money off of that stuff. And he's writing prequels, and it's been over a decade since he wrote the last book, and he never finished the series. Now, when he was writing before he went HBO, he was putting them out about once every 5 years. That's with writing and editing and then putting it out. So he's almost had 3 times as long. And yeah, he doesn't have to, and that's what like Larry Correia defended him and said, you didn't have to. He doesn't have to. Like nobody can tell a writer that they have to write, but as a fan, and there's a number of fans that I'm sure are gonna agree with me. As a fan, if you tell me that you're gonna write the end of this story and give me an approximate date, and I start buying those with the understanding that that's what you're going to do, and you don't, that makes you an oath breaker.
Oh yeah. Oh.
I think it's crap. There's no reason that he couldn't have finished writing in that much time. He's had plenty of time to write some prequels. Actually, he has plenty of time even to kind of get kicked out of the Science Fiction Writers of America as well. Science Fiction and Fantasy Writers of America as well. Yeah. Yep, he mispronounced a person of color's name.
Oh. Yeah, sounds to me like that particular organization has been taken over by a faction that doesn't. Well, I mean, part of that's because they have when they started having publishers be part of that.
Yeah, its effectiveness has run its course.
Yeah, like you need something. I'm sorry, they're just. You need something without the publishers, and
yeah, the original intent was to give some strength, like a union, to writers. So if they get screwed over on their contracts, then all the other writers are going to be all like, "Well, I'm not going to go there because you screwed somebody over on their contract,
right.
So you lost me." Yeah. I used to like George Martin's work, and then I guess the more I've matured, I use that word loosely, the more verbose it seems without getting to a point. Like somebody, I think it was Dave actually, I think it was Dave Farland that pointed it out that hi, Allison.
I think I said that like 10 minutes ago.
I don't know. If you were talking while I was talking, whatever. They pointed out that he had so many point of view characters that he would have to start killing them off to end the story. And I think that's his problem, is he had so many point of view characters and he didn't allow himself any wiggle room. And like Robert Jordan kind of did that too, but Robert Jordan at least said at the very beginning he did not intend to close off all the threads that he started, because in real life, all the threads that you walk in on or know about or start to know about aren't all over at the end of the day. But the story of the main main 6 people actually was going to be finished. And he did the same thing, but he did it first, so I guess he set the trend. Because Robert Jordan,
He at least was publishing books.
but what happened was that before he finished his series, and he supposedly only had one more book to go, he stopped and started writing a prequel. He wrote one prequel out of a series of prequels that was intended to be written. And he died before he could finish the series. Don't get me wrong, like I've got a lot more appreciation for Jordan because I know why he was writing. It was kind of his way of working out the things that he had done at war. Because he was a Vietnam vet. They actually called him the Iceman in Vietnam. He was a helicopter gunner, and he killed quite a few people. And he started writing as a way to deal with that trauma that he had. So I guess I've got a little bit more respect for that because, you know, at least he stopped writing his because he died. Like, he didn't stop writing his because he didn't want to write it. He had been telling that story for 20 years and said something about it. Like, prior to that, he, I don't know if you know this, but Robert Jordan wrote under like 3 or 4 different pseudonyms. He wrote some romance, he wrote Conan books, he wrote I got a list somewhere. I can't even remember right now. My brain is not braining tonight very well, but I have an excuse. I just don't want to say it on there.
Yeah.
So the broader stroke brush gives you those better variants there. I'm just sharpening some of these edges and trying to blend it in with my fingers. So I just want some of the detail to appear, but I don't want it all to appear. I kind of want it to disappear and just leave some indication of the shape. I'm going to do the same thing here because I'm not going to do that in darks though. So you get too wet like this, what happens is you get very hard edges. And it's not hard edges I want soft edges. So you think you're done?
What?
With this story?
The werewolf story, I'm pretty sure is done. Like, if you go through and find some big, massive hole, that's one thing. But I can't. Like, I don't know. Like, for the most part, when I decided, there are things I couldn't do that I kind of hoped to do, but in 4,000 words, like, there's just stuff that had to go, and
right.
I feel like, let's say randomly somebody sees this story and it's like, oh my God, this is great. I want a novel of it. I know how to expand it.
Wasn't that all that long ago? You tell me that you couldn't write a werewolf story.
Well, I had this conversation with my students. We were reading.
No, I'm just teasing, right?
I know. There's a short story called "Little Girl the Wolf," which is not Little Red Riding Hood. James Thurber wrote it. It's great. Takes about 3 minutes to read. It's short. And I'm going to spoil it. I'm sorry. But at the end of it, the little girl gets to her grandmother's house, and the wolf calls her over, and she gets about 20 feet closer to the bed, realizes it's a wolf, and pulls out an automatic from her picnic basket and shoots the wolf dead.
Mm-hmm.
And the moral of the story is that you can't fool little girls as easily as you used to, which I thought was a wonderful story. And it made me chuckle the first time I read it, and it makes students chuckle, so I kind of like that. But we were talking about it, and I'm like, so, because I was pointing out that the story relies upon you knowing about Little Red Riding Hood. And I commented, I was like, whatever happened to the grandmother? And they're like, well, the wolf ate her. I'm like, it never says that in this story. As far as we know, the wolf could have been, I don't know why he's wearing a woman's clothing, but maybe Grandma and the wolf were doing something freaky. I don't know.
Maybe Grandma was a werewolf.
Well, that's what kind of gave me the idea for the story. I was like, ooh, what if you could? And it doesn't quite plan out that way because it's a modern story and they're not related, and it doesn't really make sense to go through. And there's some stuff in the story that just doesn't make sense. But there were aspects that I would love to expand on if I had more room. Like the whole part in Little Red Riding Hood that goes through and talks about what big ears you have, what big eyes you have, and all that stuff. I think those can all be plot points in a modern story. I think it could be like it's just a more realistic, grounded take, and it's a fun concept. But we'll see, whatever.
What?
It's still only 4,000 words, so there are some things that are just crammed in because I had to. I don't know how else you do it in 4,000 words. Now, some of the stuff I put in there, I went through and I was deleting stuff. Like it was over 4,000 words last night.
Super funny to me because, remember my game plan?
Yeah.
It was, I'm gonna write this in 2,000 words so that I can end up with 4,000 words.
Yeah, well, I can't even fathom 2,000 words.
Yeah,
I have the one story that I wrote that's 997 words or something, and that was kind of a lark. So
I think I'm actually doing pretty good. I'm not gonna. There's no way that it's gonna be 2,000 words, but it's gonna be at least 4,000 words. That is the deal. That's the long and the short of it. There's no other way around it. But I think it's gonna be right there. I think that's exactly where it's gonna end.
So I've got a question for you about my novel.
Oh.
Well,
for a second, I thought you were going to say about the picture that I'm doing. I don't know if I can answer you.
Well, no, I think I can explain it enough to where you can give me an educated response. Understanding that I'm a writer, I can do whatever the hell I want. Okay. But logically, it's about. Yeah, well, I have a feeling I've screwed something up, and I just want to verify that, yeah, indeed, I screwed something up. Because the last chapter you guys read ends with, chronologically, a week or two after the main characters escape the underground. but I wanted to start chapter 7 only a few minutes after they escaped. It's a different point of view, but the chronology, I think, is screwed up. I don't think I can end it the way I want to, which isn't a big issue. I think I could just start chapter 7 with the end of chapter 6 and finish chapter 6 with the beginning of chapter 7. But I guess I'm asking you if you think I should probably do that.
What?
So
You're asking me if you should do what?
So the way I wrote chapter 6, the ending of chapter 6 occurs probably a week or so after the main characters escape. But I wanted to start chapter 7 with the main characters. Let's back up. Chapter 6 ends with, from the villain's perspective, a week or so after the main characters escape. So I wanted to start chapter 7 just a few minutes after the main characters escape, back at the point of view of the main characters. And I don't think I can do that because I think it screws up chronology and it would be confusing to the reader. Your thoughts?
To be honest, right now, I'm not even sure where that ends. Like, because it's been a little bit and I'm working on what I'm working on, right?
Right.
Like, two different stories. But I think it's okay to time hop a little bit, switching points of viewpoints, whatever.
Yeah.
I think that's okay if you indicate it. You know what I mean? Like if you start at the beginning, like the opening lines, letting you know that this isn't there yet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that actually will work, but it's also something.
It does not sit well with my internal editor.
Right. So, but the question also is, your internal editor, does it want everything chronological, like the whole thing? Does it? There's no reason that you could let yourself get away with doing a non-linear. That's what I was looking for the whole time. I'm stumbling on it.
Well, the whole thing's relatively linear. It'd be drastic change.
Well, I mean, but that doesn't mean that it has to remain non-linear. Like, if it just depends on what you feel, like what you feel. I mean, obviously, it comes back to, and you said earlier that you're the author and you can do what you want, but I'm not going to advise to go do what you want. But what I'm going to advise is that you're the author and you know what feels right. And if it doesn't feel right, you don't need even my answer. You already know it doesn't feel right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You want my answer. You actually want me to talk you out of it, probably. But, like, I wouldn't tell you that you had to write it a certain way. What I would tell you, though, is that you know when something's not right. Like, if you go on knowing something's not right, that is the recipe for writer's block, because then you'll come upon a spot where you're like, I don't know why I can't think of anything here. And the reason why you can't think of anything there is because you know that you need to back up and fix something. So I think you got good instincts, especially for your own stories, right?
I hope so.
Well, I'm just saying, as opposed to like you have good instincts. Period. I think I value your insights, even if I don't agree with them. I still value them because I know that you are capable and you are a good writer.
Well, thanks.
So, I just think when you feel like you're cheating a story because it feels like you're cheating yourself as well. And if that's the way you feel, then you got to back up and figure out a way to fix it. But you don't have to. You also don't have to have one POV for a chapter. You can.
Oh,
You're not in first person, so you can kind of bounce back and forth between.
Yeah, I know.
The conclusion, like if I don't know, because I don't know what you're actually wanting to do, but you can bounce. I mean, no, I'm serious. Like I don't know what you're looking to put in there that needs to be before that chronology, right? You see what I mean? And because I don't know why it would be important, my suggestion is like, can it be represented before? Can it be represented before the villain's point of view ends? Can we break off and then come back to it?
Yeah, the easiest thing in all actuality, I think, it might just be where, because right now the villain's point of view kind of bookends the chapter. So really, if I just insert this into the chapter, I think I will be able to fix it all. Like that, just all right.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Is like if you know that there's something chronologically off, but you feel like you need to include it, then maybe really what it is that you just need to include it at a different point in time.
It just means that I have to tell you and Rich when I post it.
You mean
it's actually?
You mean you have to tell me and Jake?
Yeah. What did I say?
You said you have to tell you and Rich.
Oh. Well, I'm not feeling well. My head's a little foggy.
Yeah, well, you're not the only one.
Oh.
Let's see.
Like, I don't think you realize how much I'm getting used out of this mute button because you're painting. But it's like, I'm going to end up going through an entire roll of toilet paper, blowing my nose. It's just, I think this has gone beyond it's just allergies, which is a common complaint for this time of year. As much as I love fall, it does not love me back.
That's a pretty common complaint for this time of year.
I suppose this just follows my typical pattern. I get out farther than I have to come back and either fix things or add things to where I see something where I could add something and then I have to go back and have to do it.
Does that mean about what you do to support a writer is let them tell you the problems so that they can figure out how to fix it?
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, I was hoping not to have to add any purple, but I think I'm going to have to. Not quite there. Not quite there yet.
I feel like I could just about do a lurch.
What?
Oh my boy, I can feel it in my throat.
Oh, you said lurch.
Yeah, lurch.
Like the Addams Family work.
Yeah. Thank you. That was rather punctual. I told my children, I was like, sometime between 9:30 and 10, bring me a pop. You know, just they were downstairs playing video games, and I thought, I normally get pretty dry up here. And so it's 9:31, and there's my son.
Well, that's cool.
Sometimes they get a little more punctual than I need them to be, but I mean, it's cool. I'm very thankful for Raphael. This is when I hate having a beard.
It's not going to be able to get away with it.
What?
Not going to be able to get away with it.
Okay. Okay. That was weird. Which I'll be right back. I gotta take my mid-show break. Be right back. And I'm back.
Welcome back.
I do not know how my nose can feel this dry and yet run this much. Like choose one or the other, not both.
Right, if you're confused, go home.
Yeah.
Jump now, let's go home.
Not a sponsor, but it could be. back.
Well, yeah, I was here, but there was a lot of outside noise and unnecessary anger that didn't need to be broadcasted.
Okay.
Nobody wants to be brought down, right?
Okay. I think the music stopped.
No, it just turned down for a sec.
Oh, okay. No, I should do that. So you don't have to hear me snotty. Ah.
go.
For a moment, I thought she was talking to you. Hey, Rich, you should check the chat.
I think we're going to be done pretty soon.
Okay. I hate to be a party pooper, especially because I'm just sitting here.
Well,
Oh.
actually, I'm. Not getting anything? Oh my God, I'm trying to get.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I'm. First of all, it probably help if I have light from a different angle.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Too wet.
That's a problem.
Well, it's a problem with paint.
In the locker room for the swim team, at least the boys' locker room for the swim team at the high school. I've never been to the girls' locker room, so I don't know. But at least in the boys, they have someone has graffitied, and they've never cleaned it up, which makes me laugh because it says "Go in hard, come out wet." It's like, yeah, those are high school kids.
I don't know how I lost my letter from here in the back door, but I did. Surfboard here goes dry 7 feet.
I don't know which is worse, the sneezing or the moment where you think you're going to sneeze and then it goes away.
Well, are you driving away?
I'm just saying, I just
I'm just saying,
I felt like I was going to.
if you're trying to withhold the sneeze, then yeah.
No, I just want to get them out, get them done.
Yeah, I don't withhold sneezes either. So, what I've done is put some local color in here.
Yeah.
It doesn't change the tonal value because I keep going over it with thin coats, but we'll see what happens when it darkens up, right?
Okay. That's true. Trust the process.
Well, her nose doesn't look like she's been broken in 3 different fights.
Hey, she's a fighter. I'm tired of all these hot fantasy chicks looking like they've never taken a hit.
I want to make them all look like Gina Carano.
Yeah.
Okay.
I swear to God, that's kind of fun because, like, if I'm right, I can't hear somebody or understand their personality. I just know the character, like what they're supposed to do, but I don't know who they are. I tend to like I will think about actors, roles, because I gotta have it before I can really. Like, I don't make it. I hear it. I don't know how else to explain that. But until I hear it, it's not going to be right.
Well, that's pretty close to her done, really.
Let me pull this up. Nice and big.
I'm gonna close in on her eye as much as I can.
It's a really nice eyeball.
I've got to do her like eyelashes, really, at bottom lashes, top lashes.
But just the coloring. I mean, the actual orb itself. Oh.
Like generally, I'm always wanting to work back to front, so the next step is probably brushing colors in here, and I want to heat these colors up a little bit. Get some fade the purple to red. I'm gonna probably put some blues here, blue and gray in him.
Okay.
They're gonna have reds, except for got supposed to be green, right?
Yeah. Well, yellowish green.
Yeah, that's the green gold.
Yeah.
But he's going to be fading through whatever anyway, so I think the clouds are going to be, or the mists are going to be a little bit blue and white anyway. All right, I think I'm going to leave it there for the night.
All right. Oh, well, before you do, hold on a second. We're almost ready. Don't forget to like, subscribe, follow, thumbs up. What else am I forgetting? Comment, do the dance.
Whatever, anything, right? And Allison's the only one that gets called out by name for talking. And that's a good way. I mean, we like talking here. It's not like school or whatever.
Here we go. So just want to make sure I post this up on the thing. Just
Since he did that part of the spiel, all I have to say is good night, God bless, much love.
peace out.